If you think of a world that does not enslave their people to work for money and to work for their food and their water and their shelter, if a world like that existed where everything like that is given and you suddenly would change the rules for people to have to work for that, for the basic necessities, the people would protest so much. They would not accept that change. They would perceive that as absolute slavery. But because we are already born into that system, it takes us a long time to actually question it. And even if we begin to question it, the core of that system is still embedded in us, and we don't see how absolutely crazy it really is. We feel that it's wrong. We feel that there has to be another way to live on this planet. But even though we feel that it's wrong, we don't really feel how wrong it is, because it's been set up like this before we even came here, before we even were born. So we were coming into a system that is as it is, and it's really hard to free yourself. Hello, beautiful soul, and welcome back to Rooted in the Cosmos, your podcast for all things spirituality, New Earth vision, and spiritual leadership. My name is Isabelle Gloria. I'm your host, and I'm welcoming you back to this brand new episode. If you're listening for the first time, welcome on my YouTube channel, or welcome on the podcast if you're just listening to the audio. If you are, just know there's also a video version. Every week, every Sunday, a new video drops on my YouTube channel. I cannot wait to dive in with you today, but before that, I have to be a little bit cheesy and celebrate that we hit 500 subscribers on YouTube. This is huge for me because I've been wanting to do YouTube for so long, and hitting that milestone feels like a little dream. When the notification for the 500 subs popped up on my phone, I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. I really wanted to do YouTube for literal years. I wanted to do that for at least 5 years for real. And I always found reasons and excuses for why right now is not the right time, why it is too time consuming right now, and why I cannot do it right now. And I finally committed this year. No more excuses. I'm going to be a good role model and just post the content on YouTube, and it feels so good. I feel so alive on here, and I love talking with you like this, and I love the exchange that happens in the community. I'm very used to exchanging with my clients, obviously, and on Instagram, but YouTube is this next level. It's like another thing, another vibe, and I'm totally living for it. And I'm also glad that I finally took the leap and committed to it, because I always preach to my clients, like, post your content, share your voice, be omnipresent, and make yourself known if you want to share your message and spread important information, share your wisdom, step into your role as a light worker. And then there was this part of me who always found excuses for not starting YouTube sooner. So I was like, nope. I cannot let that slide. I really have to step up now. And ever since this year, I really committed, and I'm not stopping anytime soon. Before it's getting too cheesy now, I want to dive into today's topic, and it's a little bit different. I shared about this on Instagram, and it resonated with a lot of you. So I felt like I want to do an episode about this and talk about this in more depth. Depending on where you are on the journey, this episode might piss you off a little bit, or you might resist some of the things I'm sharing. But I also know that I have so many women and so many souls in my community who will resonate with that. I'm going to talk about things that harvest your energy, especially if you are a light worker, if you are working in the spiritual field, or if you plan to do that, if you feel like you have a mission here, you want to do something and you are trying things out, you're sharing your content, or you just are energetically invested in the collective of humanity, in the collective consciousness, in all these kinds of topics. There are some things that are happening to the light workers, and there are some things that we are targets for. And I want to talk about that because it's really damn important, but I also don't want to spread fear. I'm a huge believer that the more fear you have and the more fearful you are of energies, of dark entities, of dark forces, the more able they are to actually scare you or harm you in the long run. So I don't want to spread fear. And I feel like it's necessary to talk about these things. We cannot just be love and light. We have to look at the shadows as well. And a lot of them are hiding in plain sight. This may sound bold, but there is a somewhat war going on our energy. and most people are completely unaware of that happening. And lightworkers are huge targets for that to happen. There are things in place that we feel are normal, but are actually here to harvest or redirect our energy. And especially if you are popping up as someone who wants to share a spiritual message, who wants the best for other people, who wants to make this world a better, more conscious place, you are very targeted with specific energies. I just worded it very specifically. I said when you pop up as a light worker or as someone with a spiritual message, and I literally mean pop up, because when you are a light worker, when you start to empower yourself, step into your role, and you start to influence other people, your energy literally lights up like a light on a map, and dark energies who are not very happy about you stepping up into your role can literally see that light like you were on a map, and it stands out. So that's why I used that word specifically, and that's why it's so important that you are aware of these things. It's not about a crazy dark force coming into your room and scaring you. It's literally the normal everyday things that are so accepted and so normal in our day-to-day lives that we don't even notice this is harvesting our energy. Today, I want to go over the most important and biggest energy harvesting traps that keep lightworkers disconnected from their message and disconnected from their full potential. The first thing I want to talk about is still pretty obvious. It's TV, it's the news, it's TV programming. First of all, I want you to think about, like, why is it called program? You program a machine, you program software, you program technology. So what are you when you sit in front of that TV and you watch the program that is fed to you? You are being programmed or shaped in a direction that influences how you feel about things, how you think about things. It tells you what is accepted to think, what is not accepted to think, how you should think about the specific things that are coming on that program. And you are, whether you know it or not, influenced by that. And for people who are newer on that journey of self-discovery and self-empowerment, they may not even realize that they are influenced by these things. Even people who have been on a spiritual journey and on a self-discovery journey, on a self-awareness journey for so many years, they still recognize patterns in themselves where they still act not fully from their authentic self, but from the programming that is everywhere in the world. Nobody is really free of that, because we already are born into a world that is designed in a certain way. So we don't question some things. We question a lot of things, and we become aware of a lot of things if we are on an awakening journey. But a lot of things are so normalized and so set in stone that we don't even question them. So if you think of a world that does not enslave their people to work for money and to work for their food and their water and their shelter, if a world like that existed where everything like that is given and it's coming from love, and you suddenly would change the rules for people to have to work for that, for the basic necessities, the people would protest so much. They would not accept that change. They would perceive that as absolute slavery. But because we are already born into that system, it takes us a long time to actually question it. And even if we begin to question it, the core of that system is still embedded in us, and we don't see how absolutely crazy it really is. We feel that it's wrong. We feel that there has to be another way to live on this planet. But even though we feel that it's wrong, we don't really feel how wrong it is, because it's been set up like this before we even came here, before we even were born. So we were coming into a system that is as it is, and it's really hard to free yourself from that. This is also a conversation to have when we think about future generations. What kind of world do we want to shape that a few generations from now nobody's going to question anymore, or the majority is not going to question? We have to think of that too. What world are we building that will be accepted as the norm? And TV and the news and programs, even shows and series and movies, are often feeding us with a specific narrative where things are normalized. When things are being pushed in the mainstream, for example in the news, You can take a bet that some series is coming out or some movie is coming out that also shows this certain narrative, this certain topic that has never been there before maybe, but now it's popping up in media, in entertainment, in our pop culture, everywhere. We are being programmed to follow a certain agenda, to think a certain way, to feed into a timeline that is being created through us, by us feeding that energy into that timeline. That is called energy harvesting. So you are being harvested of your energy by setting your focus on certain things, but also by accepting certain things as normal or as the reality. The average person watches a couple of hours of TV or some type of media a day. Now think of that as you just ingesting information. You're not really thinking for yourself. You're not really creating a reality that you want to create. And I'm not talking to you specifically listening to this podcast right now, because I feel like a lot of you are beyond that. But the average person, like the average Joe, your neighbor that has never heard about self-realization, they are not in a co-creative energy most of the time. And if everyone on this planet would be in a co-creative energy, the world would look different, because we are co-creators and everything gets co-created through our actions, our thoughts, the way we react to things, the way we put our focus on things. The moment you turn on your TV, you turn your brain off in most cases, unless you're watching something that expands your mind. And the moment you turn your brain off, you are turning off the ability to use your co-creative energy in a way that you intend, that you want to use it for. So the moment you start watching the news and watching the program, you are being programmed to use your co-creative energy toward what they show you. A human being cannot not create. We are thinking all the time. We are always in the fourth dimension. This is where our thoughts reside. We are always creating and thinking. We cannot not think. Try it for a second. Try to think about nothing. It doesn't really work. Even in meditation, we get images, we get scenes, we get information. We are never not thinking. We are always thinking on some level, even if it's just a subconscious level. So we are always in a co-creative mode, but not always in a conscious co-creative mode. So when you just watch something and when you are being fed information that you're supposed to accept and see as the truth, as the reality, you are co-creating that reality by not actively, consciously co-creating what you want to co-create, by not actively thinking about, is this really what I believe? Is this really what is true? Does that feel true to me? Or is that something that feeds some person's agenda or some group of people who want me to believe and feed into a certain narrative? When the TV was introduced into everyday people's homes, it suddenly became the center of the living room, where people would talk to each other and do creative things together or just have a good time together. The TV would replace that and become that centerpiece of the living room. It's like a portal to a world that we are meant to create through our intent, through our co-creative energy. It's not a coincidence that it is such a normal thing to have a TV and to have it run in the background all day and to have it play a program every second and every moment of the day and of the night. That is not a coincidence. It's a tool to control our energy and to make us co-create certain things and to make us feed certain timelines, certain narratives. You really have to think about that. So many people are watching TV every single day, and even if they don't have a TV in the classical sense anymore, they are watching the program on their laptops, on their streaming devices, whatever. They are watching that program. So who is it that broadcasts the same message to millions, billions of people? Who has interest in that? And why does every single news program use the exact same words, use the exact same phrases, use the exact same narrative to report about something? You could say, obviously, it's coming from the same source. That is why they report the same things. But if there's only one source this comes from, shouldn't we question the source? Shouldn't we at least turn on our brains and think for ourselves and really feel into it intuitively if this is what we want to feed, if this is what we just blindly believe. I don't even own the device to play it from. I completely unsubscribed from that kind of programming. I'm not engaging at all with it. The news cycle that we see every day play out without any breaks, it is designed to keep you in a constant low-grade state of anxiety and fear. We are not meant to know every single bad thing that happened on the world, whether it is even true or not. We are not meant to have so many negative news presented to us every single day. In an average day, we see more bad things happening than a person a couple of 100 years ago saw in their entire lives. And that is not something we can hold as a human being. It just creates this constant state of fear and being on the edge and feeling like the world has gotten worse and worse and worse. And yes, there are horrible things in the world. I'm not saying the earth is perfect and the world is a beautiful utopian place. But it also creates more of the horrible things by billions of people investing their time and energy witnessing all the bad things that happened that day. They present threats, they present us problems, they present us negative things, they present us horror scenarios or future outcomes that are horrible. They are literally scaring us. They are creating scarcity in the whole of humanity. And this doesn't go unnoticed. People are so unhappy, they are so depressed, they are so stuck in that systematic harvesting of energy. If you're still watching the news, I'm not gonna directly tell you to not ever watch the news again, because I want this episode to stay up. But I recommend to you that you maybe do a 7-day news detox and feel for yourself how that changes your perception of the world and what that does to you. And then decide for yourself whether you want to invest your focus and your energy into daily news, or if you are okay with just loosely keeping up with what is happening in the world, but focusing the rest of your energy that you then still have on something you want to co-create instead. Just feel for yourself if that feels any better. Another thing that also is kind of connected with the TV and the programming is celebrity culture. As humans, we are designed to look for community. We look up to elders, we look up to natural leaders, we look up to people, and that's a beautiful and sacred and ancient thing. That is nothing bad. But this desire to have role models and to have someone to look up to and to see as an inspiration is being hijacked by putting people in our faces that represent the narratives that we also see on TV, that we also see in the mainstream media. These celebrities are like the extension of that system. They are not completely independent. There might be a few that really just made it, but a lot of celebrities are like extensions to certain narratives, and they are also reproducing them and telling other people what to think, indirectly or directly. They are being used and being chess pieces in that whole game. Celebrities are great when you distract people. Some random celebrity has a breakup or has a surgery that makes their butt bigger or whatever they do. Like, not really important things, and they just report about that then to distract you from what's actually happening. Or they are, like I just said, they are extensions for certain narratives, for certain directions and timelines they want to put the majority of people in. They are used to steer the direction, and they want you to feel like they're your friends, like the celebrities. You know everything about them. You feel connected to them in a way. There's this weird parasocial connection that you may have with some of them. And a lot of people still really buy into that glitz and glamour world and into the Hollywood dream, and it's starting to crumble a bit. Like, it's starting to crumble a lot actually, and it has been way worse a couple of years ago because a lot of things came out. And I'm not going to go into the Hollywood thing right now, but I'm sure you've heard that not everything is love and light there, and that there is a very dark truth to it and a very dark demonic energy in that realm. So the celebrity thing is kind of losing its grip a little bit, but there's still too many people up to celebrities. I've personally been in surroundings where I was in touch with a lot of what you would call celebrities. It happened through the things that I did in my life. I used to be in the modeling scene. I used to be in the music scene a lot. I used to be in the fashion industry. I saw a lot of things and I experienced a lot of things a lot of people would give a lot of money for. So things that you would say are cool to experience or very glamorous and very like out there, and not many people experience that kind of stuff. But I'm telling you, it's not that glamorous. It's really not that great. And there is more darkness than glamour there. It's really dark and depressing and eye-opening when you are amongst these people and you see how deeply unhappy they are, how deeply controlled they are, and how they cannot really live their own lives. They always have someone tell them what to do, what to believe, what to say, what to create. It's really not that desirable. Even though I obviously was never really involved in celebrity culture myself as someone who is famous or anything like that, I still saw enough for me to completely move away from that scene. I had a pivotal moment in 2018 where I was at the Fashion Week for the very last time actually. I felt such dark energy. This was after my major spiritual awakening, and it was this phase where I actually already knew that this was not for me anymore, but I still wanted to go because I knew a lot of people, and I don't know, it was a normal routine to go there every season. So I went, and on that trip, I had the most horrible physical symptoms. I felt horrible. I literally had symptoms of a food poisoning. I felt horrible. Like, I'm gonna spare you the details, but you can imagine what I did on that trip, what I spent my time doing between the toilet and the fashion catwalk. It was not a food poisoning. It was energetically. I could feel it. It was my sign to not be there. It felt like I had evolved so much and raised my frequency so much that the moment I stepped my foot into that dark energy, which the fashion industry definitely is, my body couldn't take it. It literally was an energetic thing, and I could feel it, and I felt physically so horrible, and it were the worst couple of days on a fashion week I've ever had. And I also didn't go to a lot of events I was invited to. I kind of just spent the time there with my friend, and we ordered sushi to our hotel room and had a good time there because we really felt that we are not meant to be there, and it felt like demonic entities were attacking us for our light. It was crazy, and it was a very eye-opening experience. And after that, I never wanted to step a foot into this industry ever again. I also didn't want to be in contact with the people anymore. I've unfollowed everyone. I could feel that energy was dark and was not for me, and it would lower my vibration. I also saw how the people that I don't regularly see would be, and how they would evolve, or let's say devolve. They were in a very dark place. I know one guy that killed himself because he couldn't take it anymore. It was so obvious to witness that this industry and the energy surrounding that industry was dragging them down a darker and darker path. They were destroying their bodies with drugs. It's really not just a cliche that this is very thriving in the fashion industry. It really is. And they were just being sucked into a rabbit hole of darkness and sexual distortion and partying and drugs and dark energy. And they also started to express in that way through their style, through what they would do in their free time. Wow. That's a lot. I feel like that's another episode for another day, but I witnessed it myself. This is not just something I preach to you on this podcast episode, and I'm like, don't glamorize the celebrity scene, don't glamorize any celebrity culture. I literally experienced it, I've seen it, and I've completely turned away from it. Something completely different but also important is that there is a part about the Lightworker journey where you feel like you need to save everyone, and you have this weird helper syndrome that also harvests a lot of your energy. It's this compulsive need to save or fix or help evolve everyone you know and everyone around you, and it's almost like you feel like you have to rescue the people that you love and that around you and that you're close with. And if you don't do that, you fail at your mission as a light worker, which is not true. A lot of light workers choose an incarnation where they are born into a family where love was conditional, or where you felt emotionally alone because you felt very different from your family, where childhood trauma occurred. That's a very common thing for light workers to experience. And if you feel like as a child you had never been fully loved or not loved by the people you should have been loved by, it can create this helper syndrome. So the moment you step into your mission, which is a good thing, you also feel that responsibility to do better and to be loved and to be of love and to also help others see what you see, because you want to give to them what has opened up to you through your spiritual awakening. You most likely live a completely different life than before. You feel more purpose, you feel more beauty in the world, you also see more darkness, but all in all, you have a better experience about life once you awaken. That feeling of expansion, of love, of universal power, of co-creation, you want to give that to the people around you because your inner child wants to spread love. The thing is, though, you cannot force someone to awaken. You can open the door for someone, but that person has to walk through on their own. And even if you explain to them or present it to them in a way that you think would make sense for them and should click, it doesn't if it's not meant to be. Not every single soul on this planet is meant to awaken in this lifetime. That's one thing. And it's something that cannot be forced or be done at a pace that you would enjoy. As a light worker, you really have to learn that every single soul is on their own journey, and some take longer and some will not get to where you want them to be even in this lifetime. You cannot awaken someone who is not ready. There are millions of people out there who are ready, which is why I tell you, share your content, step into your role, be loud about your spiritual awakening, and share it with the world. That's why I'm telling you this, because there's a huge potential for us to collectively shift into a new timeline if enough people are awakening. But the ones who are not meant to, they will not be affected by it, no matter how much you share with them. Every time you are trying to force an awakening for someone who is not meant to have one or who doesn't want to, you are sharing your energy in the wrong places. So if you have a family, for example, who you would love to awaken, who you would love to share what you've learned and experienced, but it just doesn't stick for them, you are wasting your energy on their journey, which is not meant to be in that way that you picture it for them. You're wasting that energy on them rather than sharing it with people who are actually ready and who can learn from you. And that is something that hurts. If your closest people are not the ones that you can drag with you on this awakening path, it hurts and it sucks. But as a light worker, you really have to see that you are wasting your energy even on the people you love, and you could do so much good in the world with that energy if you would not waste it on people who are not ready to hear what you have to say or to experience what you have experienced and what you want them to experience too. There is a responsibility that comes with being a light worker. If you have that calling, if you have that feeling of being here for a bigger purpose, do not waste that on people, on partners, on family who are not ready to be there with you. If you want your partner to have a spiritual awakening so badly and you kind of force them, first of all, that creates friction in this relationship because you cannot force them to. And it also sucks you dry of your energy that you could use somewhere else for people who actually want to hear it. I'm not saying break up with that person if the relationship other than that is great, but be aware of how you share your energy, even if the closest people around you are not here to receive it. It hurts, but it's something you have to accept, and you have to redirect your energy to somewhere where it is needed and wanted. As a lightworker, your job all in all is not to drag people through an awakening. It's to embody a frequency and create a life for yourself with so much life force and so much activating energy that people who are already on that path or who are destined to be feel so activated by your presence, by your transmissions, by the way you show up and carry yourself, that their awakening is triggered through that and activated through that. It's not about telling them what to do or what to try or what meditation to do or what modality to try out. It's about being a light for others, being that transmission of the new earth to anchor that energy here, literally like an energetic anchor that makes it tangible for people that there is something else other than the program that we've talked about. Frequently ask yourself, am I helping from overflow, from devotion, or am I helping from depletion? If you're constantly feeling that being a light worker is hard and it sucks you dry and it's so draining and so frustrating because nobody around you gets you, that is a sign that you are sharing your energy in the wrong place. If you are a light worker who shares content online and all the people in your audience would talk against you, you would think, well, I'm not reaching the right target audience with my content, right? But when that happens in real life, you're like, I just need to try a little harder. They will get it. They will see what I see. They will understand what I mean. But they are not meant to. They are not the right target audience. There are so many other things that harvest your energy. I could keep going, and I can record more episodes about this topic if you're interested. So definitely comment below if you want another episode about this topic, if you want to hear more of that perspective. There is so much more, but I will leave you with these right now because I feel like they are already very big and they are something to work through and something to reflect on. If you felt like some of this was relevant to you and you have fallen into the traps, as always, I hope you learned something new. Leave a comment below and let me know what you think about this episode and if I should make more episodes about this topic. If you are not a member of the Cosmic Awakening School yet, make sure to join. The link is in the show notes. It's my free community. You can find over currently 700 people there who are on the same awakening journey that you are on, who are all light workers and have a mission here on Earth to fulfill. We are creating such a powerful vortex energy in that community. You can learn so much from the other people, and you also will have free resources. You will have access to me. There is a lot going on, so definitely check it out, and I'm happy to welcome you in there. See you inside the Cosmic Awakening School, and other than that, see you next week for a brand new episode, for a new YouTube video, and until then, have a beautiful week.